3 with DeShaan Vincent on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. We just talked about the Tyrod deal. We talked about the 2016 Dallas Cowboys. What do we expect for the 2016 Dallas Cowboys? I just mentioned to DeShaan that I'm doing a little bit of a prediction thing with the divisions, and I got Dallas going 10-6 for second in the division behind the New York Giants. And I told him why. I hope he's not mad at me, but that's just how I see it. Now, we talked about the Tyrod deal, and we're talking about Russell Wilson now. So, DeShaan, to the last statement that I said, what is your rebuttal about the whole, Tyrod Taylor, Russell Wilson thing? You still there?
Yep, I'm here.
What did you hear my question there? Sorry about that. I said.
Oh, yep.
What's your
Coming from a non-biased standpoint, because I don't necessarily like Buffalo at all. And it's probably make a lot of Buffalo Bills fans a little upset, but I feel like nobody really even wants to go to Buffalo. You know what I mean? They don't even want to, let alone play a game there. They don't want to be there. So I feel like when someone like Tyrod Taylor, who came in for what he did, with who he did that with. I don't think Sammy Watkins is a top 5 wide. I don't think he's...
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with you there.
And everyone else on the team, Charles Clay is he's a great player, and I think he's a great player. But other than that, the numbers that Tyrod put up, I feel like he did a phenomenal job with who he had.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I think he had a good year. It's just that I think that the way their offense was structured, he wasn't winging it around like the other quarterbacks are. He's not week to week. You look at it week to week, his pass attempts per week, with the ability that the running backs have. They have LaShawn McCoy. Last year they had Carlos Williams when he was thin. Now he's a little bit chunky. He's activated now, but he's not. Yeah, he's not in shape. They had a really good rushing attack last year, and I think that opened things up for Tyrod Taylor, as it does for any quarterback. And if you looked at his numbers week to week, he wasn't really the guy that was leading the way. He was doing just enough to kind of keep them in it. And as you said, game manager. I think he has that ability to do that, but I needed to see more of it before I wrote him a structured check that was for $92 million. That's my thing. That's all it's ever been. That's all, and I've had some criticism about, my critique of the deal. And really, like you said, in the scenario about no one really wants to play here, I kind of agree with you there a little bit, and for Tyrod to agree to a contract to stay here, that's pretty cool. It must mean that he loves playing here and he loves the fans and things like that. That I respect. I respect him as a person. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a smart guy, well-spoken guy that really wants to win. I just worry about his durability. And he doesn't, and comparing him to Russell Wilson as well, Russell Wilson slides, Russell Wilson throws the ball away, Russell Wilson pump fakes and then runs, where Tyrod just runs and tries to make things happen, and he takes hits, and that's why he was hurt last year. So, and now moving forward to 2016, that was last year, moving forward to 2016, they have so many injuries on the defensive side of the ball that their offense is going to have to keep up with other offenses when they play against the New Englands, when they play against the Baltimores and the Raiders, and not that those are the greatest offenses ever, but New England's not too shabby. But just along the way, the teams that they have to beat to make the playoffs, they're going to have to really outscore those teams, which means they're going to force things. In my eyes, I could see that happening, them forcing the issue offensively, and Tyrod not having as good of a year. And if that's the case, he might get unfair criticism because of the contract, which could push him out the door prematurely. That's another, fear that I have. But DeShaan's here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and I predicted that Dallas will go 10-6. you think Dallas will win the division. What is your take? And I've asked every guest on the Thomas Take, every guest that's appeared on this show, what is your take on the saga that is Deflategate? What is your take on Deflategate? I have to ask. I have to. I mean, why not?
I think Belichick and Brady, they're like peanut butter and jelly. They've been together forever. In all the trades, all the rules, everything. And I'm not saying it's fair by any means, because it's not fair to do that, whatever. It's not a good thing by any means.
Mm-hmm.
But for as long as the sport's been around, I feel like if there's not certain things that happen before the games or during the games or whatnot, to figure these small things out. Like, was that the first time ever that it happened? I highly doubt it.
No.
So I think that it's more of the NFL as a whole, an issue with the whole organization, rather than just these two guys.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're not the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
They're just the ones that got caught.
Yeah. And now in a day and age too, where like everything is so different now, you know, like in a day and age where like the media has such an easy access to everything. You can easily write anything. You know, I've built this podcast by Facebook and Twitter and business cards, bringing business cards to businesses and things like that. You can easily market anything, whether it's false or true in this case, or true or false in this case, I should say. And, you know, like you said, this has been going on a long time. One of the greatest coaches ever, you could say he's the greatest, Bill Walsh, used to find a way to get into other teams' headsets or turn them off. NFC Championship, that's a fact. The NFC Championship, he was going up against the Giants. Bill Parcells was traveling the candlestick with the Giants and Lawrence Taylor back in that heyday. And he could not hear for the whole second half out of the headset. He had to write plays down. And that's a true fact. You watch a Football Life with Bill Walsh and read, you know, there's a bunch, and it happened a lot. It happened all the time, and the league didn't even care because other coaches were doing it too. It was like, who's going to invent the newest way to stop, you know, to bend the rules? It's been going on since the beginning of time with football, and you know, I think Deflategate is one of the most ridiculous stories I've ever read, heard, or talked about. And it's not even, I love the fact that Brady's suspended for 4 games because that means Buffalo doesn't have to play him week 1. It probably won't matter. Garoppolo will probably throw for 400 yards or whatever. But, you know, it just, that story is so ridiculous to me, and I laugh every time I see an article about it. But,
didn't Brady break his phone?
He did break his phone. He did break his phone. They did say that he broke his phone and he changed his number, but then there was a thing that I read that like professional quarterbacks or professional athletes have a new phone number like every 3 months. And I don't know, I'm assuming why, just because they might, you know, get hacked or, you know, pranked or prank calls or whatever if people, you know, spread their number around. And, you know, he is married to a supermodel. So that, who knows what's on that phone? That's all I'm gonna say. But
that's what I was thinking.
True.
I feel like that's like the most childish thing that has happened in sports. Like, literally, give me your phone so I can look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's broken and I changed my number. I can't do that.
Yeah. It is fishy, but it's just like I think the NFL has done too much to these guys. Like the Brady thing went too far. The Adrian Peterson thing went extremely far. Literally taking a whole year of his career away. That is one of the biggest travesties I've ever seen, really, in sports. It was ridiculous. And then you have coaches getting suspended. The Bounty Gate thing, I understood that. That made sense. But that's about player safety and things like that. But where do you see, you love the sport of football, as do I, where do you see the NFL in 20 years from now? As far as the CTE and the concussion protocols and all the things that are now a part of the NFL, what do you see, moving forward for the NFL? And if you had a son, would you let him play football?
Yeah, I would.
You would.
And I think what it comes down to is, if you truly love the sport, like, one, you're doing something you love.
Mm-hmm.
And to do something you love, like, obviously, you'll do it for free if you love it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're getting paid millions of dollars to do something you love,
then that's
I don't really want to hear about your concussion, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're truly doing something you love, and you're getting paid millions of dollars, yeah, there's cops that love their jobs, and they're getting paid $25,000 a year in Buffalo, New York.
That's true.
So I feel like it's...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like if you're getting paid this money that they're getting paid, then play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game.
That's true.
Truthfully honest. And I do think it's kind of crazy, though, that there's nothing we could do with these helmets in the year 2016.
Yeah.
That could, I don't know, just
prohibit this.
Make it a little safer.
Yeah.
Got a lot of technology.
I think that there's so many structured rules now within this, within the game, trying to make it safer, that it actually makes it more unsafe. Trying to be safe and playing things close to the vest is actually making things more unsafe, because it not only pisses the players off because they have to hold back, but they get pissed off and they don't hold back, and they do lead with their head, and they do try to hurt other guys. Look at Josh Norman and Odell Beckham. Last year, that whole thing, and the Vontaze Burfict and Antonio Brown. That was literally kind of like a hockey game where one guy went after that guy went after another guy, and it just turned into this big, for lack of a better term, it turned into a shit show of a playoff game. And really the end result was left up in the air, because it's like if Pittsburgh, if Ben Roethlisberger didn't get leveled, if Ryan Shazier didn't knock out Giovanni Bernard, and then if Big Ben didn't get hit, and then if Burfict reacted to hurting Big Ben by hurting Antonio Brown and just all this crazy stuff, I think that the game is regressing a little bit. I fear that.
Oh yeah, and I think when you teach a player to play a game his whole life, and then you tell him, well, you can't do it this way anymore,